Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for new moon in Taurus. And this new moon is happening on the 16th of May. And it's like a middle ground between two full moons. We had one on the 1st of May, and then we have the second full moon in the same month on the 31st of May. So this is like really something that is here to ground us between Scorpio full moon and Sagittarius full moon. Totally different from Taurus energy, and here we are in Taurus season. This new moon really it begins differently. It comes like a seed that is under the soil, and it's invisible to the eye, but it's deeply committed to what is going to give life to. So we are now planting something that we want to give life to, and that is real, that can be touched, that is concrete, that has a density, that is embodied truly. And it begins in darkness, in moisture, in pressure, in the patient intelligence of matter. And this new moon on the 25th degree of Taurus, close to Mercury on the 28th degree of Taurus, brings us into a field where life asks whether we are willing to cultivate what we want slowly enough for it to become real. Like, can we really be committed to something? Can we truly become committed to something that requires time, patience, groundedness, and our true presence? And Taurus is the first earth sign of the zodiac. And, you know, after Aries says, I exist, Taurus asks, how can I maintain this existence? How do I remain? How do I sustain? How do I provide everything that is necessary for this existence to exist? And Aries is like the first cry, and Taurus is the first breath, truly. And this is like the first breath that comes into the body, because the breath is connected to the body. There is no breath if there is no body. And like, if we want to really understand this thing in the zodiac, Aries is like the sunrise, and Taurus is also the morning, but it's after the first rays of the sun. It's where the fire has already appeared, and when one must eat, work, touch the ground, build shelter, learn the weight and pleasure of being alive. And in occult astrology, Taurus is often linked with desire, but desire here doesn't only mean craving for something. It's desire. Desire is actually like the magnetism through which spirit enters matter, and this is like an invitation for us to become more embodied into our real existence. And how can we maintain our existence in a quality way? Because Taurus is about self-worth, it's about values, about our priorities, about comfort, where we feel safe and secure. So what are we doing in order to maintain that state of being? What are we willing to initiate in our life now that is going to provide us that high quality life that is necessary for us? And as I said, this is about the desire, and without desire, nothing takes root, really. Without value, nothing is protected, and without that embodiment that we talked about, the soul just remains as some idea. It remains abstract. And this new moon brings new relationship with the body, with voice, with our senses, with money, with food, with nature, with stability, with worth. And it asks us to return to what is simple without becoming simplistic. And Taurus wisdom is not shallow comfort. It is the knowledge that life must be fed, really, and the body must be listened to, and the nervous system must be allowed to calm down, to rest, to relax. And You know, our hands must touch something real, our feet must remember the earth. This is earth sign. And the proximity of Mercury makes this lunation vocal. And, you know, it's not only about feeling, Taurus, it's about naming these things. And Mercury in Taurus is about learning how to speak from the place of groundedness. You know, it speaks when the words have density. It wants language that can be trusted and promises that can be kept. These are, you know, we are making some decisions that are sustainable. And these are conversations that make us feel secure. So we are now initiating something new through our words, that's something that we can trust. You know, when we give our word to something, when we give the promise. And around this new moon, conversations about money and commitments, values, resources, food, creative projects, land, home, self-worth, these conversations become very, very important, and we may realize that we no longer want to speak in ways that betray the body. You know, we may decide to slow down conversation, especially if it becomes too intense. We have to slow down our tone, slow down our words, and, you know, we are invited to really see and to speak about it, to speak about what we need and what we can offer and what we no longer can carry with us. And especially if it doesn't support our health, if it doesn't support our body and our relationship with the body. And Taurus rules the throat and voice, and this is one of its deepest mysteries. The voice is not only a tool of communication, it is actually the vibration of embodiment. It's very mystical energy. And when someone is disconnected from their body, the voice often changes. It becomes thinner, it becomes rushed, it becomes artificial or strained in some way. And when someone returns to themselves, the voice also comes back and it gains gravity. And it doesn't need to convince, you know, because you can tell by someone's voice. You know, when we hear someone's voice, we can tell if we trust this person or if we don't trust this person, and our voice cannot lie. Our words may lie, but the voice doesn't lie. And this new moon may help many of us reclaim the voice as our physical truth. And, you know, what has been stuck in the throat may want to become vocal, to become the sound. And what has been swallowed may want to turn into a sentence, into a real sentence. And the ruler of this new moon is Venus. And Venus is at the 27th degree of Gemini. So we see that conversations are very important. Gemini is a sign of communication and words. And we have this new moon with Mercury. And Mercury rules Gemini. And we have Venus, who rules this new moon in the sign of Gemini. So words are very, very important. Conversations, we can expect some new conversation that really changes our relationship with the body, with nature, with money, with life. And, you know, this gives the entire Taurus field a more airy, relational and mental quality. Venus in Gemini wants conversation, variety, exchange of ideas. She's playful, she asks questions, she sends messages. So we want to express our love and affection through words. And so we have a beautiful paradox here. Like Taurus wants the real thing and it wants something stable, the touchable, tangible, and Gemini wants motion and movement and dialogue and possibilities and socializing. So this can bring conversations about values, love, pleasure, money and security, and it can also bring the need to ask, you know, are my words aligned with my values and with my highest priorities? And do I speak beautifully but live inconsistently? Do I say I want simplicity while I am feeding myself with constant noise? You know, do I call something love when it is actually just a stimulation. This new moon will give us new perspective of all of this, and this is where the wisdom of the East becomes very Taurian. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that he has a right to action, but not to the fruits of action. And this is the perfect teaching for Taurus, because Taurus understands cultivation much better than it understands conquest. And you plant, you water, you return, you tend, but the fruit ripens according to a law greater than our impatience. And the Gita also says that acting with steadiness in success and failure is true yoga. This is a real relationship with life, that we have steadiness in success and failure. And this is Taurus at its most sacred way of understanding. Not through attachment or laziness, but steadiness in the rhythm of life. And there is also Upanishadic reverence for food. And it says that, from food, indeed, all creatures are born. By food they live, and into food they enter at the end. And this is not some primitive statement, it's very metaphysical, and food is not merely a fuel. Food is truly something sacred. It's a sacrament of incarnation. And Taurus understands that the divine is not only something above, it's in very simple things. Divine is everywhere. It's in our daily meal. That's why, it's very important for us to be grateful for every meal that we have, for this body, for being able to move our fingers, for having a sight, for having senses, for being able to walk and talk, and to have our voice to express ourselves. These are very powerful things if we can really bring them to our awareness, to see how important these things are, how miraculous they actually are. But we take them for granted, and we can experience a lot of pleasure and a lot of pain through our bodies. And when we are not in pain, we easily forget. We definitely forget how precious it is to be in the state of painless body. So this new moon invites us all to remember this, to remember and to honor the pain, the physical pain as well, and to be aware of that pain even when we are in the state of pleasure. And this divine it's in our bread, it's in the milk, it's in the fruit, it's in the soil, it's in the hunger, in digestion, in the hands that prepares the meal, in the body that receives it. Divine is in all of that. And there's a great story that is beautifully aligned with this new moon. And it comes from a Taoist tradition. And even though it appears in many, many different forms. And I did share this story before, probably a couple of years ago, but it's very good to remember it again, to mention it again. There was a farmer, and this farmer had a horse who ran away. And the neighbors came and said, "What a bad luck." And the farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing wild horses, more horses with him. And the neighbor says, "What a good luck." And the farmer answered again, "Maybe." Later, the son of the farmer, he tried to ride one of the wild horses. He fell and broke his leg. Again, the neighbors came and said, "What a bad luck." The farmer again answered, "Maybe." And soon after, soldiers came to take young men to war, but they didn't take the farmer's son because his leg was broken. So this is the wisdom of Taurus, and life, goes way beyond immediate judgment. What looks like delay may become protection. and something may feel like it's a loss and like a failure, but it creates more space, or what seems like abundance may bring more responsibility too. So the Tao Te Ching says like something, I will paraphrase it: the soft overcomes the hard, and the slow overcomes the fast. And this doesn't mean passivity. It means that reality has a deeper timing than the nervous system wants to believe. And this new moon is not only soft. Mars and Chiron are together in the last degrees of Aries, 28 degree, pretty close to be the last. And this is very important energy, because while Taurus asks us to slow down, Mars in Aries, Mars is the ruler of Aries, so it's in its own sign, and it's very strong there. And it carries great heat and impulsiveness and need to present our strength and to show ourselves, to take action. And Chiron in Aries still touches the wound of identity, of abandonment, the wound of being allowed to exist, to express directly ourselves. And beneath this Taurus desire for peace and comfort and grounding, there is still some anger and sense of urgency and defensiveness, or some old pain that is related to how we express ourselves, to who we truly are, and how we are being seen by others. And this can show up in very real ways. Someone wants peace in a relationship, but their body is still holding anger. Or someone can cook a dinner, answer politely, keep the routine stable, but inside there is a storm, there is sharpness that hasn't been spoken about. So something may seem very calm on the surface, but there is deep rage underneath. So passive aggression may be strong, and it can turn into something very wild if we are not aware of it. So it can be expressed through our body. Our anger can be expressed through our body. And someone wants to rest, but the Aries wound keeps whispering that rest is weakness, that we must prove ourselves, we must move faster, we must fight harder, we must stay visible. And someone else may realize that their relationship with money is not only practical, but it's tied to survival, it's tied to pride, it's tied to fear. And there is this question where we are being asked, like, are we truly allowed to be safe? And Mars with Chiron in Aries, besides this Taurus new moon, can bring this meeting of instincts and the body. And the body may reveal what the ego has been trying to outrun. So there is this tension that we feel in the body, tension in our jaw, because Mercury is close to this Taurus new moon, Venus, the ruler, is in Gemini, so there is this tension in the jaw, there is this pressure and tightness in the throat. There is possibly, we may feel strong pressure to speak about something, but at the same time we may feel censored to speak about something. So we may all experience this now, and anger in the muscles, and exhaustion in the bones. Our appetite may be changing, and voice may be changing, desires may be changing. And this is a lunation for listening, not with our ears, but with our body, listening physically. And because Taurus speaks through sensations, and the shadow of this new moon is stubbornness, it's inertia, it's possessiveness, it's indulgence that may be used as avoidance, or comfort that we use as some kind of painkiller, as some kind of anesthesia. So, staying too long in what is familiar because the unknown feels so threatening. And Taurus can be Ferdinand the Bull, peaceful under the tree, smelling flowers, refusing the violence. And that is, the sacred Taurus. But Taurus can also become the raging bull when pushed too far, when the body has stored too much, when patience has become repression. And the question is not whether anger is present, but whether anger has been listened to before it becomes force. Do we listen to this anger, or do we ignore it? Do we just suppress it? Do we try to intellectualize it? Do we try to explain it? This won't get us anywhere. So this Taurus asks us to feel. And what can we expect? There is this need to simplify. There is this desire to return to the body. And there is longing for touch, for affection, for being in nature, for slower mornings, for better sleep, for life that feels like true life. And there are also moments where old Aries pain breaks through Taurus calmness, and we may feel sudden irritation, defensiveness, impatience, impulsiveness, a feeling that someone is pressing on the exact place where we are still too sensitive. And we should look forward to the possibility of returning to ourselves through the ordinary, through simplest things. A meal prepared with attention, a walk without a phone, a conversation, that doesn't put a pressure on us, financial decision that is made with maturity. And this is a time when we should avoid rushing anything. We should avoid rushing a process that needs to be rooted. And because Taurus, we can grow only if we are rooted, but we may push this growth, and this is where the seed can break. So let's not break the seed, and let's not make promises because the moment feels sweet, or using pleasure to avoid the truth. And this is also a time when we may confuse nourishment with comfort. So this is really time when we shouldn't ignore the body. We have to learn how to listen to the body. And Taurus part in us knows that devotion sometimes is just watering the plant, or paying the bill, or speaking kindly to the body, or choosing the slower road, choosing to slow down. And there is another wisdom from Upanishads. It's related to perception that can be very self-healing. And it says, the earth is like honey to all beings, and all beings are like honey to this earth. And this is amazing Taurus teaching. The world feeds us, and we feed the world. This is the true relationship. But what do? We abuse our bodies. We abuse our relationship with nature. And what kind of food can we get back? So we are now learning how to be in relationship with, not against something, not exploiting something. And on a global level, we may see exploitation of nature more and more. And at the same time, protection of nature. But does nature truly need protection? That's the question. Because nature responds always. And we cannot really destroy the nature. We can only destroy ourselves in the process. And this is what we do to ourselves. So there is great growth of awareness on a collective level of what we do with nature and with our bodies. And the body is not separate from the earth. The voice is not separate from the vibration. Food is not separate from spirit. So there is great awareness of these things. And this new moon asks us to plant something that is worthy, and not something that excites us for one day, but something we are willing to take care of. This is, new relationship with the body, with money, with pleasure, with voice, with peace. And because Mars and Chiron are still burning at the edge of Aries, this peace cannot be fake. It cannot be the peace of silence when the truth is trapped in the throat. So it has to be the peace that comes after we stop fighting our own existence and return to that ground beneath us. And you know, this new moon in Taurus says, come back, come back. You are allowed to come back, and you know, come back to the body, to the earth, to the meal, to the voice, to what can be touched, to, you know, what can be loved. And you know, Taurus is the temple of matter, and it teaches us, it reminds us that our body is our temple. And what do we provide to our body? And you know, there is something deeply mysterious about Taurus that modern astrology often reduces to simple things. Of course, it is simple, and there is divinity in simplicity. But you know, these things do belong to Taurus, yes, but only as surface expression of something much older and much more sacred. So it is the mystery of matter that becomes alive. And this is, you know, force that is contained inside the form. This is, you know, the vitality of nature that is held inside our muscles, inside the earth, inside our blood, our instinct, our rhythm, and our breath. So the bull represents the power, but not chaotic power. It's directed power. It's productive power. It's the power that carries weight and that survives winter. You know, that's Taurus in the second house. It's survival, but meaningful survival and priorities. Survival in order to have a high quality life. And I'm not speaking here about luxury and financial abundance. Of course, that's welcomed. But our intention is very important, as always. And especially when we have new moons, intentions are implanted into those seeds that we are giving form now. And you know, what is true abundance for us? What does it mean to be abundance? What is luxury for you? This is the question for all of us. What is luxury for you? And you know, Taurus appears everywhere in ancient symbolism. In Egypt, the sacred Apis bull was associated with divine embodiment and fertility. In Mesopotamian and Persian symbolism, the bull represented cosmic life force and earthly abundance. In Greek mythology, Zeus himself takes the form of a bull. In Mithraic mysteries, there is sacred bull who becomes the central to initiation. And, you know, always, again and again, ancient cultures return to this image where the divine enters matter and matter becomes sacred. And what happens is that we can forget the divine within these things, and we become obsessed with materialistic, with having more and more. We become greedy. So this is the shadow side of it too. And in the secret teachings of all ages of Manly P. Hall, he writes extensively about the bull as one of the 4 fixed signs associated with the symbolic structure of the heavens: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And these are the 4 living creatures that appear in Ezekiel's vision. And this is later connected with the Sphinx, the cherubim, and the fixed cross of the zodiac. So Taurus is living matter. It's matter that is infused with vibration. And this is why Taurus rules the throat and the voice. And, you know, because sound, actually the sound is the bridge between spirit and matter. And, you know, before something manifests physically, it often begins as vibration, as a tone, as a frequency. And the ancient traditions understood this profoundly. And in the Vedic understandings, creation itself begins through sound. You know, the world is a sound. Everything begins with the sound. And the universe is not seen as dead material, but as vibration that is condensed into a form. And Taurus is that space where vibration becomes tangible. So, you know, think about this carefully. A voice cannot be touched. but it changes the nervous system instantly. And we can check this anytime. We know one sentence can alter whole human life. You know, a whisper can calm the body, and the scream can wound it, but it can also release the energy. You know, a song, one song, can awaken memories that have been hidden for decades. You know, every voice is unique. Just like fingerprints, there are billions of people on Earth, and no two voices are truly identical. And that alone should tell us something mystical about Taurus, because Taurus asks, what are we bringing into matter through our vibration? This is a real question. What are we bringing into matter through our vibration? You know, what are we feeding the world through our voice, our body, our work, our money, our touch, our attention? You know, Nikola Tesla spoke repeatedly about frequency, about vibration, about the energy. You know, these are hidden principles of reality. And one of the quotes that have been attributed to him say, like, if you want to find secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And he also said that the Earth, the whole planet Earth, responds even to the quietest whisper of human's voice. It cannot be more Taurus than this. So let's all remember how important it is, how our thoughts are important, our words are important, our intention that is brought into that voice and tone and word, how powerful it is. So whole planet Earth responds even to the quietest whisper of human's voice. And you know, Taurus reminds us that matter itself is not dead. There is no dead matter. Matter listens, and the body listens, the earth listens, the nervous system listens, water listens, and these are facts. It's not some magic, it's real. And plants respond to care, to attention, to music. We all know this now. You know, it's not some hidden teaching anymore. Plants respond to touch, to intention, and human beings respond to everything. This is why this new moon in Taurus can become such a powerful reset. And people often think that spirituality means transcending matter. But many ancient teachings understood the opposite, that matter itself is part of the sacred process. And in Taoism, there is no separation between spiritual wisdom and the rhythm of ordinary life. You know, in the way we prepare the tea, how we walk, you know, how we take care of the garden, how we eat. These are, you know, this is the path. It is the path. It is the powerful process. And there is that quote that we all, I mean, not that we all know it, but it's famous. It says that nature doesn't hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And this is a very beautiful reminder for us. This is Taurus wisdom in its purest form. And this new moon may ask many of us to reconsider the pace at which we are living. Not morally, but physically. And you know, how fast do we eat? How fast do we speak? How fast do we move through our own life? You know, do we actually inhabit our body while living? This is a very important question, very interesting question. Do we actually inhabit our body while living? Or do we drag the body behind the mind like exhausted machinery? Taurus slows things down in order to reconnect us with reality. And this brings us to another profound Taurus theme, the body as a temple or a prison. What is body for us? Is it temple or a prison? How do we treat it? And what we allow our bodies, this is very important. So the body reveals the relationship we have with ourselves more honestly than the mind does. You know, we may say we love ourselves, but the body often tells differently. It tells different story. You know, the way we eat, the way we sleep, the way we rest, the way we spend money, the environments that we tolerate, the stress that we normalize, the touch that we accept, the work we force ourselves through, all of this reveals our true relationship with value. And Taurus rules value and its existential value, because we spend according to unconscious value systems. And some spend money trying to become worthy. Others collect and save a lot of money. Some neglect the body while investing heavily into appearance, into how they look, but they actually neglect the body. This is not true care. And, we can surround ourselves with beauty, but we can remain emotionally starved. So Taurus always asks us what nourishes us for real. And this is why finances, food, body, nature, pleasure, self-worth, stability, they are all connected under Taurus symbolism and all forms of sustenance. So this is the quality of relationship between us and life itself. So this new moon may bring realizations around our spending habits, our relationship with food, our scarcity consciousness, our need to simplify, to reconnect with nature. All these things will be extremely heightened and increased. And because Venus, ruler of this lunation, is in Gemini, the mind enters the field of value. So, we may talk more openly about money, about love, about insecurities, desires, and priorities. Conversations can reveal incompatibilities in values, or they can reveal surprising new possibilities. So Venus in Gemini wants exchange. She asks many questions. She loves through messages, through letters, through conversations, and Taurus wants embodiment. So someone may speak beautifully about healing while neglecting sleep, for example. Or we may talk about abundance while living in constant panic. Or we may say we want peace while feeding ourselves with endless stimulation. So many people may feel torn between two impulses. One part wants rest and grounding and nourishment and simplicity, while another part fears slowing down because movement has become their identity. So this is very important psychologically, because many people no longer know how to feel valuable without this sense of urgency. This is where anxiety kicks in. And Taurus says, you are allowed to exist without constantly proving your right to exist. And this sentence alone can heal something within us, and this is very important to understand, that this new moon reminds us that there is wisdom in slowness. There is wisdom in repetition too. And what we consistently nourish becomes our reality. What we consistently nourish. And, not what we endlessly imagine, but what we feed daily with our attention, with our body, with our money, with our time, our voice, our energy. This is the field from which our life grows. And people exhaust themselves trying to force life into deadlines. This is what we are going to see. Are we forcing ourselves into deadlines? If we spend enough time in nature, really observing it, instead of using it as a scenery, we may notice something uncomfortable. That nothing that is alive is anxious in the way that human beings are anxious. This is what we can reveal now. If we are truly there in nature, we may see that nothing that is alive is anxious in the way we are as human beings. Trees are not rushing to become trees faster or to grow faster than it's supposed. Animals are not ashamed of resting. Seasons, different seasons, they don't panic because transformation takes time. Only humans try to bloom before they are really rooted. So we can understand ourselves intellectually and still remain completely estranged from our own body. We may see this in small things, in the way exhaustion becomes normal, in the way we speak about productivity with pride while our nervous system is collapsing. And Taurus periods really wants to expose that. And after a certain point in life, we become very similar to whatever we repeatedly give our attention to. And, we can see it everywhere now. We can see people who are overstimulated, overinformed, emotionally dehydrated, unable to sit in silence without reaching for noise. And Taurus reminds us that depth is physical too. Peace is physical, safety is physical, love is physical, even truth has bodily feeling when it's real. We can feel it in our body. Our body knows when we are lying to ourselves. And some people realize they haven't heard their own thoughts clearly in months because there's constantly something playing in the background, whatever it is, And some realize they've been eating mechanically, sleeping badly, spending money emotionally, speaking too quickly, agreeing to things that their body already rejected. That's why these periods sometimes bring people back to embarrassingly simple things. To better food, better sleep, less noise, cooking slowly, listening to music without multitasking. This may be the remedy. Returning to the same people we love, being able to relax inside our own home or in nature, and having work that doesn't poison our spirit. The body eventually tells the truth about everything. And this new moon is here to reconnect us with the body wisdom, with the wisdom of matter, with the wisdom of nature. Nature is wise, so we can learn from it. And music is very important. Music has a deeply healing effect, and our voices. So humming is also powerful. It's something that has the power to reset our whole organism and to reset our senses. If we hum long enough in nature, this changes the whole field of our body. It's really like that. And there's not much more to say about this. It's very simple, and I'm sure we all figured out the essentials of this forecast. And I will just repeat once again what Nikola Tesla said, that the whole planet Earth responds even to the quietest whisper of human's voice. I love you all and see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.